SDLG Export Wheel Loader and Reassembly Operations Guide, 5-ton series. Unpacking check-in. After opening the container, firstly check to see if the complete machine cab and parts are intact. In event of having damage or missing item, take photos immediately within the container and immediately feed the information back to the import and export company. Specification for unloading parts from container. Disassemble the fastening tensioners ST033 40-3.5M of fuel tank. Hoist the fuel tank from the container with forklift and get ready for assembly. Pave guide rail on the outside of the container. Place 4 8-tons cargo trolleys on the guide rail. Place protective pad on the outer side of the counterweight and battery compartment to prevent the finished paint from being scratches during unloading from the container. Disassemble 4 fastening tensioners ST033 42M of a complete machine. Connect the negative wire. Jack the rear frame of complete machine with 2 16-tons jacks. Place 2 rear cargo trolleys, and then slowly unload 2 jacks synchronously to come contact the frame with the cargo trolleys. Next, jack the front frame with 2 16-tons jacks. Place 2 front cargo trolleys, and then slowly unload 2 jacks synchronously to come contact the frame with the cargo trolleys. Unload the main unit from the container with equipment. Pay attention to gaps between 2 sides of complete machine and inner walls of container. Hoist the complete machine to a level and spacious ground with overhead traveling crane and get ready for assembly. Remove the fastening tensioners ST033 0.2 T3M of the cab and hoist the cab out of the container with forklift. Disassemble the fastening tensioners of left and right benches and hoist the benches from the container with forklift. Disassemble the fastening flexible straps of the tires and hoist the tire from the container with forklift. Hand 2 tons hoisting sling onto forks of 3 tons forklift and hoist 1 drive axle from the container. Hoist the bucket and parts from container with forklift. Hoist the tires and drive axles on the other side from container as per same method. Unloading inspection. Recheck the complete machine, cab, bucket, left and right front combination lamp, left and right front combination lamp holder, left and right mudguard bush, left and right bench, left and right front handrails, left and right rear handrails, left and right step ladders, air filter pre-filter, muffler exhaust pipe, tire assembly, front drive axle assembly, rear drive axle assembly and fuel tank for intactness after taking out of the container, and get ready for next assembly of complete machine. Hoisting and protection of complete machine. Hoisting of machine. Prepare 2 brackets and place 1 bracket to support beneath the front frame in front of the paint portion between front and rear frames, and place another bracket to support beneath the rear counterweight. Cushion rubber pad or hardwood would be put onto the support frame in order to prevent damaging the paint once the parts are lowered. Disassembly of bracket bolts. For the assembly of front and rear axles, firstly, disassemble the front and rear transport fixing brackets of the complete machine. There are 2 transport fixing brackets on the front and rear edge. Disassemble the fastening bolts and nuts between front transport brackets and front frame, and disassemble the fastening bolts between rear transport brackets and rear frame. Reassembly of components. Reassembly of rear drive axle. Move the rear axle to beneath the rear frame with forklift. Hang the hoisting slings on 2 sides of rear axle. Adjust the level of the rear axle brackets. Hoist the rear axle. Align the mounting holes of rear axle front master drive and rear frame axle panel bushing. Move forward the rear axle. Insert the master drive into the mounting hole of rear frame axle panel bushing. Adjust to align the mounting holes of frame brackets. Attach the bolts from top to bottom and install the lock nuts beneath the bolts. Tighten the nuts from the bottom with the pneumatic wrench and socket 46, and clamp the bolt head with wrench from the top. Tighten all nuts in turn as per diagonal principle. Reassembly of rear drive shaft. Loosen the fastening flexible strap of rear drive shaft and connect the rear drive shaft and the rear axle end with 4 hexagon bolts, 1/2 inches to 20 UNF to 2B by 50 8.8. Reassembly of front drive axle. Move the front axle to beneath the front frame with forklift. Hang the hoisting slings on 2 sides of the axle. Hoist the front axle with overhead traveling crane. Adjust to align the mounting holes of frame. Attach the bolts from top to bottom. And install the lock nuts beneath the bolts. Tighten the connecting bolts and nuts at the joint between front axle assembly and front frame with pneumatic wrench and socket 46. Reassembly of front drive shaft. Remove the fastening flexible strap of front drive shaft and connect the front drive shaft with front axle end with 4 hexagon bolts, 1/2 inches, 20 UNF, 2B by 50, 8.8. Reassembly of tires. Hoist and assemble the rear tires. Hoist the tires marked with LR and RR onto the left and right sides of the rear axle respectively. Tighten all wheel rim nuts as per diagonal principle with socket 36 and pneumatic wrench. The assembly method and the requirements are same for the front tire assembly and rear tire assembly. Hoist the tires with LF and RF markings to the left and right sides of the front axle respectively. Assembly as per the same assembly method of rear drive axle. By using torque range of 0 to 800 Nm specification, tighten all wheel rim nuts for at least 30 degrees to the specified torque. Hoisting down main unit from brackets. Hoist the main unit onto a level and solid ground and block the tires with wood wedges. Reassembly of fuel tank. Move the fuel tank with forklift to beneath the rear frame. Properly adjust the position. Remove the protective package outside the engine oil return pipe. Connect engine oil return pipe with hollow bolt. Connect fuel level sensor. Operate forklift to align 3 mounting holes. Screw the bolts. Tighten 3 M24 bolts in order of left front, right front, and rear. Remove the protective package outside of engine oil suction pipe. Connect engine oil suction pipe with a hollow bolt. Bolt position map for LG 958L standard cabin and ROPS and FOPS cabin. Total 10 bolts for LG 958L standard cab. For LG 958L ROPS and FOPS cab, the yellow ones are bolts to be fastened from bottom to top, and the green ones are the bolts fastened from top to bottom. Disassembled bolts as per the order shown in the figure. Reassembly of LG 958L ROPS and FOPS cab. Loosen the evaporator tensioners. Remove the guard plate. Screw off the fastening bolts attached on the cab bench. Connect 4 fixed positions on the top of the cab and hoist down the cab with overhead traveling crane. Remove the protective wood plate. Place the cab onto the bench and align the threaded holes. Install 11 bolts inside the cab. Disassemble cab right guard plate. Screw out the 3 bolts on air conditioner cooler. Install 11 fastening bolts outside the cab and on the bench. Tighten the fastening bolts outside the cab and on the bench with pneumatic wrench and socket 21. Install the air conditioner cooler bolts and cab right guard plate bolts back. Tighten the fastening bolts between cab and bench with pneumatic wrench and socket 15 and 21. Install back the cab interior trim panel to arrange the position. Use new split pins to fix the outer cab interior trim parts of the connecting bolts of cab and bench. Reassembly of air conditioner evaporator. Tighten the air conditioner condenser pipes and heater pipe clamps, and connect the air conditioner harness with the instrument board harness and thermostat connector. Fix the fastening bolts of cab and air conditioner with pneumatic wrench and socket 13. Fix the air conditioner evaporator cover. Reassembly of harness connectors of cab and instrument board. Connect the harness connectors of cab and instrument board. Reassembly of muffler exhaust pipe and air filter cap. Install the exhaust pipe and air filter cap along with pipe clamps onto the muffler and pre-tighten. During installation, free backward the exhaust port and tighten the bolts of pipe clamps. Reassembly of left and right benches. Disassemble the small-sized tensioners AK025, 0.40, 1M for booster pump bracket and air reservoir fixing bracket. Tighten the fastening bolts of left and right step ladders. Left and right rear mudguard bushes. And front and rear handrails with pneumatic wrench and socket 15. Reassembly of left and right battery compartments, toolbox handrails, and rope ladder. Tighten the fastening bolts of battery compartments, toolbox handrails, and rope ladder with pneumatic wrench and socket 15. Reassembly of left and right front combination lamps. Remove the fastening bolts from the bracket. Tighten the fastening bolts between lamp holders and front frame with pneumatic wrench and socket 15. Connect the harness connectors of front combination lamps. Tighten the fastening bolts of lamp holder and front combination lamp with pneumatic wrench and socket 13. Reassembly of left and right front mudguard bushes. Install the mudguard bushes. Pre-tighten and tighten the bolts of mudguard bushes with pneumatic wrench and socket 15. Reassembly of bucket. Unpack the boom and arm. Disassemble the fastening bolts of pane from the bucket. Remove the pane. and place the washer and dust-proof ring on clean rubber pad to prevent contamination. Remove the dirt within the paintboard. Add an appropriate amount of lubricating grease into various bores. Attach O-rings on two sides of the boom paintboard. Lift the bucket and adjust the position of bucket till the bucket is aligned with the boom connecting paintboard. Connect the bucket and boom together with pin and washer, and adjust the assembly gap between bucket and boom end face to 0.5 to 1.5 mm by adjusting the thickness and quantity of adjustment washers. Take down flexible strap. Align the paintboard of connecting rod and bucket. Pay attention to preventing the O-rings against scratch. Tighten the fastening bolts of hinge between bucket and boom, and arm with pneumatic wrench and socket 24, and inject an appropriate amount of lubricating grease to the hinge connection with grease gun. Connect a brake pipeline, adding brake fluid and bleeding air from brake pipeline. Install front axle brake oil pipe. Install rear axle brake oil pipe. Add HZY3 synthetic brake fluid. To the oil cup of booster pump. Firstly, loosen the bleeding valve on the top of the brake caliper. Step down the brake pedal till the brake fluid flowing out from the bleeding valve forms a continual flow, namely the air is completely bled. Tighten the bleeding valve. Add synthetic brake fluid to 2/3 capacity of oil cup. The amount is 1.5 liters when the level reaches filter screen, and install the oil cup cap. Final drive reassembly operation guide. Unloading main unit from container. Disassemble 4 fastening tensioners ST033 42M of complete machine. Jack the rear frame of complete machine with 2 16-tons jacks. Place 2 rear cargo trolleys. Next, jack front frame with 2 16-tons jacks. Place 2 front cargo trolleys, and then slowly unload 2 jacks synchronously to come in contact 2 ends of the front frame with the cargo trolleys. Pull out the main unit from the container with equipment and place on a solid and level assembly site. Pay attention to gaps between 2 sides of complete machine and inner walls of container. Preparations before reassembly. Remove the packaging protective sleeves from the wheel hubs of drive axle assembly. Unpack the wheel reducer mechanism and take out the gears from inside of drive axle. Remove the packaging formed plastic of half shafts. Disassembly of round nuts. Disassemble the round nuts with special wrench. Parts cleaning. Cleaning the wheel reducer assemblies. Clean the inner gears of drive axles. Clean half shafts. Clean exposed parts of wheel hubs and clean the round nuts. Assembly of drive axle inner gears and round nuts. Install the inner gears of drive axle onto the spline at the end of support shaft. Rotate the wheel hub with hand to place the bearings on 2 sides at correct positions, and then install the round nuts. Inspection of tightness of round nuts. Hook the pull-type agarmeter to the 522.5 hole on the wheel hub, and pull the pull-type agarmeter along the tangential direction. Adjust the tightness of the round nuts as per the reading, till the reading of the pull-type agarmeter is within 45 to 75 N. Assembly of round nuts. Add the threaded hole for installation of screw for inner gears of drive axle. Apply thread lock sealant. 1262 form the second thread of the threaded hole for 5 to 6 threads to form a sealant applied surface on 1/3 turn of the thread, and then tighten the screws to secure the round nuts. Assembly of half shafts. Assemble the half shaft assemblies into the wheel hubs with the half shaft spline end facing inward. Assembly of O-rings. Apply a small amount of lubricating grease onto the O-rings and properly seat in the grooves of the wheel reducer mechanism. Assembly of wheel reducer mechanism. Assemble the wheel reducer mechanism onto the wheel hubs with wheel rim bolts, washers, and nuts, and tighten the nuts symmetrically. Adding of oil and assembly of screw plug. Disassemble the oil filter plug on one side of the wheel reducer assembly and add SAE 85W90 GL5 gear oil with filling machine. After the oil is added, apply an appropriate amount of threaded sealant 1545 onto the screw plug and tighten into the threaded hole. Assembly of rear tire assembly. Move the forklift to the beneath of the transport brackets. Loosen the tensioners of transport brackets. Lower transport brackets onto the forklift and then move out the trolley. Hoist the tires marked with LR and RR onto the left and right sides of the rear axle respectively. After installing the tires, attach all wheel rim nuts and tighten all wheel rim nuts with socket 36 and pneumatic wrench as per diagonal principle. Assembly of front tire assembly. The assembly method is the same with that of rear tire. Hoist the tires marked with LF and RF onto the left and right sides of the front axle respectively for assembly. The assembly method can be referred to that of rear axle by using torque range of 0 to 800 Nm specification. Tighten all wheel rim nuts for at least 30 degrees to the specified torque and add markings. Hoisting complete machine from brackets. After the front and rear tire assemblies are assembled, hoist the complete machine from the brackets and lower on solid and level ground. Remove the rest similar parts and bolts with the same method. Post-assembly inspection. Engine pre-start and traveling precautions. Carefully read the attached operation and maintenance manual and understand the structure, functionality, and requirements of the product. The assembly is appropriate and regular and conforms to the assembly requirements, without any missed or error installation. Check the water tank level and hydraulic oil level. The levels shall conform to the specified requirements. Check the engine oil level, transmission oil level, and brake oil level. The levels shall conform to the specified requirements. Add sufficient lubricating grease onto all pins to be lubricated. The tire pressure shall conform to the specified values, 0.38 to 0.40 megapascal for front tires and 0.32 to 0.34 megapascal for rear tires. Sample some bolts for inspection and measure with torque wrench whether the corresponding tighten torque is met. Before the start, make sure to move the gear shift lever and control valve lever to neutral positions and release the handbrake. Engage the power switch, turn on the electric lock, sound the horn, slightly step down the throttle pedal, and rotate the electric lock to position start to start the engine. The front and rear lamps, roof lamp, roof warning lamp, wiper, water spray can motor, fan, and front combination lamp shall work normally. Lift the boom. Tilt backward bucket to approximate 400 mm off the ground. Sound the horn. And start up the machine after the safety surrounding the machine is ensured. Inspection of vehicle test. Start a complete machine. Lift the boom and conduct the bucket rotation and retraction operations for 3 to 4 times, and listen to the assembled portions of bucket for presence of abnormal noise. Conduct the running test under no load state from low speed to high speed. During the operations, conduct the low speed run-in at front gear and reverse gear respectively. Pay attention to observing the indication vibrations of all instruments and listen to the sound of drive axle parts. Stop immediately upon detection of any abnormality and proceed the driving only after the malfunction is resolved. The running test time shall be 5 minutes. Check the foot brake for effective working. The brake shall work effectively without braking bias, and braking and release shall be reliability without seizure of brake caliper after all systems of the loader are conformed to normal. Conduct the high-speed test under no-load state for 20 minutes. Stop the machine and engine and check the wheel reducer of drive axle system for presence of leakage or abnormal temperature rise. Performance checklist of complete machine. Check the parts for good performances as per the checklist of complete machine below.